I am a full self-driving skeptic. Some of you might call me a hater, but I have the chance to try driving, or I should say not driving, with full self-driving for the next week in our brand new long-term Tesla Model Y. And I'm gonna put on a good attitude, I'm gonna put all my preconceptions to the side and see, is full self-driving the game changer so many people claim it is, or is it underbaked and unsafe? Let's get right into it. This is our long-term 2026 Tesla Model Y Premium all-wheel drive. And for the next week, I am not going to be driving it, but it will be driving itself. And I'm going to vlog this whole week and show you all the pros and cons that I found with full self-driving. But here's the thing. This isn't going to be just your typical week in Arizona or California where it's sunny and beautiful. We're here in Colorado in January. It's supposed to snow and sleet tomorrow. I've got to take it on the highway. I live on a dirt road, kind of in the middle of nowhere. Is this car going to be able to handle it? Now, this is part of our hands-free 2000 series. And the whole point of this series is we lease this Tesla for $420 some a month, and we're going to try to see if it can drive itself for 2,000 miles completely hands-free. Now let me give you the data so far. Let's go into software. We are starting my week here on full self-driving supervised version 14.2.2.2. That's the most current full self-driving computer. And we can also see here, let's go to autopilot. So far, this car has driven 64 miles, 61.4 of them all by itself. So my goal is to get that 96% self-driving rate as high as possible. Now, this car does have an internal dash cam, which we'll be using, but we also have this little guy up here, which you may have heard talking to me, which will help out and save notable events if that happens. In case something happens with the USB drive or whatever inside the internal dash cam in this Tesla. So it's January 6th. My week starts now. And I'm feeling a little hungry, so its first test is going to be to navigate me to Jimmy John's. Grok, navigate me to Jimmy John's in Boulder.
Navigating to Jimmy John's at 3310 Arapahoe Avenue in Boulder, about 3 miles away. 8 minutes. ETA 1:14 p.m.
All right, that's the right spot. Let's go foot on the brake, start self-driving, hands off the wheel, feet off the brakes. Now, genuinely, even though in the intro video of this car I was very negative towards full self-driving, it is pretty amazing technology. The fact that you can plug in an address, don't even need to plug in an address, just yell an address at the car, and in theory it'll take you there all by itself. Pretty darn incredible. Now it is worth noting, this is still a level 2 system. This is a supervised, and make it clear on the screen, full self-driving system. So I, Tommy Micah, am still responsible for anything that happens to this car. So if it goes careening off into a school, I'm on the hook. If it gets a speeding ticket, actually I get a speeding ticket. So it's definitely a supervised system, but supervised is a loose term because my hands are completely off the wheel, my feet are completely off the pedals, it's doing everything. I'm just here to babysit. All right, well, it has been doing a really good job up to this point getting us to Jimmy John's. The lane discipline's been really good, its use of turn signals has been good, it's confident on the brakes, it's not too slow to accelerate, it's doing really, really well. But this is where I'm interested to see how it performs, because Jimmy John's, it's coming up here in this little strip mall, but we've got kind of this weird left into another left situation into the parking lot, and I'm curious to see if it's going to be able to navigate through this all by itself, especially on an unprotected left with a steep curb too. It's going to just bottom out the front end. We're about to find out. All right, so the light has gone green. It is creeping into the center of the intersection. That is what I would do as well. Although not completely into the center, it's just kind of blocking the crosswalk. After this Honda Fit, it's gonna make the turn. Oh, it's not going where I expected it at all. It did a U-turn and then coming into this little side entrance. Seems a little unsure as to where to go. We've got some diagonal parking spots here and some conventional parking spots here on the right. Oh, wow. Okay. Listen, all things considered, I don't know if I would have done that U-turn to go right, but it's pretty good. That's a kind of a, may not look weird on camera, but in person, that's definitely kind of an odd intersection, and it handled that well. All right, so check this out. Got my Jimmy John's sandwich, and now I'm heading to my parents' house to go let Blaze, our dog, in. And it is taking me through some very weird parts of town to do this. Now listen, I know that perhaps this might be the fastest way to go, but this is certainly not the way I would choose to go through an industrial area by the bus depot. But listen, it should be using the internal navigation, which should be powered by Google, which means that this should be the quickest way to go. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna trust it. I probably would have just taken the highway, but you know, we get to see the bus depot now. That's kind of interesting. But still, you know, some kind of weird, tricky intersections is navigating here with a lot of unprotected turns and some areas of questionable stop signage, and it's doing it. It's working okay. This is interesting. This is an intersection which has gone out completely. Oh, I came back and it went right on the red arrow. Oh, that was not good. Oh. So what happened there is that the intersection, there was a fault in the intersection. We got the flashing reds, and then it decided to go right on a red arrow. That was bad. Wow, lots of interesting situations happening just trying to get home to let the dog out. So here we've got a right turn that we need to make. You can see the car's decided it needs to go right. The problem is the right turn lane is closed for construction. So is it going to try to go right anyway, even though the right turn lane is closed? I'm not sure I feel safe with it doing that, but the turn signal is on. Certainly that's what it appears to be trying to do. So let's see what it ends up doing. So light has gone green. For the purpose of the video, I might just see what happens. Okay, that BMW's gone right. Oh, look at that. I'm not sure that was totally legal there, Tesla, with that right turn lane being closed, but maybe it is. I don't know what the official law is on that. And then through the construction zone. Now this is interesting. Speed limit here is 35. I'm in the standard level of full self-driving. There's actually faster and slower versions of it, and it's currently doing 38 miles an hour in the standard setting, which in a lot of ways is good. You know, in my opinion, in normal situations, people drive 3 to 5 miles an hour over, which is what it's doing. But the problem is, through a construction zone, I don't know if I would. And it'd be great if the car recognized, hey, there's bollards all around, there's cones all around. Maybe we should stick to exactly the speed limit. I think that could be a very important update. Well, we're coming up to a kind of a tricky situation in my mind for a full self-driving car to navigate. So we've got a intersection with the red light, and then we've got these emergency vehicles right in front of the intersection. And there is space to pass, but we would need to go over the double yellow to pass. So I'm very curious to see if the Tesla will do that. We also have this Dodge truck currently rolling backwards down this hill. I believe it's a manual transmission. So hopefully he can get going without rear-ending us. Now, these are the real-world situations that I think, you know, a full self-driving car has to deal with. It's not all just beautiful wide-open interstates. We've got emergency vehicles and young drivers in manual Dodges. That was good. He didn't back into me. All right, let's see what we got around these ambulances. So Dodge, ooh, it's a fire truck, navigates it. And Tesla signals left over the double yellow, signals back right. Oh, that was really good. Very, very good. Let me save that into the dash cam. I think that was a great result, actually. And now we've got some construction coming up. Curious if it's one lane or if it's just a lane change going on here. Oh, it's going to involve us going over the white through this construction zone. Yeah, okay. Very impressive. I gotta say, initial impressions, this thing is doing great. All right, it's quitting time here at the office. Time to go get the dog and see how this Tesla performs when things get a little tougher for it. So this is where things get a little interesting because, yeah, dark is a challenge, but I've no doubt Tesla made sure that FSD works in the dark. But I live a little bit in the sticks. Not that I live, way out in Duck Dynasty territory, but I'm away from town. It's very, very dark. And I also live on a dirt road and have a particularly challenging driveway. So I'm really interested to see, can this Model Y deal with some rural life in the full FSD mode? We got Blaze in the back seat, and this full self-driving system is working great, even in the dark, even on these somewhat remote country roads. I mean, it's killing it. It really is. I'm so skeptical about this system because I've spent years in Teslas with some of the older autopilot systems that, especially when they went away from the distance-based sensors and went only to cameras, like the phantom braking on our old Model 3 was insane. So when I heard that, this FSD beta system is only cameras, I was very skeptical, probably wrongly so, because, Tesla updates constantly, and I should have taken that into more of an account. And then we had our Cybertruck that had an early version of the system, and it was terrible. But this system, this 14.2.2 with the self-driving computer 4, gosh, it's doing so well. But I'm curious what's going to happen here because we're leaving the 45-mile-an-hour country roads, the nicely marked, back road system here, and we're hitting my dirt road. Okay, and let's see what the car does. Now, we're still in the standard speed setting, doing 45, and occasionally my dirt road here gets pretty rutted out. There's a pretty big old dip, and I like to slow down to right around 25, 30. The speed limit on this road is 35, as you can see coming up. Right now, we're doing 48. Cross the dip at 48. Oh my gosh. Oh, we got lucky today. Not much of a big jump. But currently, the car is doing 42 miles an hour on my loose dirt road. Speed limit's 35. All right, this is the first time in standard mode where I'm kind of like, all right, let's chill this out a little, especially because there's just no road markers whatsoever. That's it's holding to the right side of the road, but in my opinion, on this loose gravel, that's kind of bold. All right, here we go. That's more like it. 34, 35. I like to cruise this road 30, maybe 35, because holes develop quick, especially if it hasn't been graded. Luckily, it's been graded pretty recently. But this thing is full-on WRC. It does not give an F. So this might be a situation where maybe I dial it down to standard to maybe something like chill from here on out, because it's a little quick for my liking. Granted, I'm a slightly paranoid nerd, but even still, I think if I pass someone on this road doing 42 at the beginning, they'd be like, what the heck are you doing? But here's the big question. We've got a sharp left-hander up my driveway. It gets really rutted out, and it's like a 15-degree slope. Let's see if this works. So we're making the sharp left-hander. There's our neighbor's house. Hopefully it doesn't go into their driveway. Oh my God, it's going up. That's not right at all. Oh my gosh. It just missed the driveway completely. That is, in fact, their front yard. That was not good. Let's make sure we got the dash recording of that. The driveway is fully over here to the left. That was pretty bad. Okay. All right, we're gonna resume self-driving. Nope, it's backing up. It really wants to go into my neighbor's driveway. All right, let me see if I can fool it a little. I'm gonna have to just take over a little bit. Okay. Now, it's got no idea where we're at. It's completely befuddled here. Start self-driving. Okay, now it's going forward. Here we go. It's got it. It's now climbing up the dirt hill. All right, let's see what happens. I like to do about 5 miles an hour down my driveway because it's very rutted out. Car's like, screw that, we're doing 15. Oh, we're going to my neighbor's house. Nope, absolutely not. Okay, so even though my house is fairly well marked on Google, and you can see the lanes and the roads on Google. The Tesla's not. No, it took us into my neighbor's yard. So let me mark that on the dash cam. Yeah, pretty sizable fail there, but up until that point, other than maybe some speed concerns on the dirt road, it handled the dirt road fine, kept in the right side of the lane, and yeah, overall, I'm pretty impressed. Actually, very impressed. It's doing well. Wanna go in the car? Wanna go for an adventure? Adventure? Go bold. All right. Day 2 of Hands-Free 2000. Starting out cold today. All right. Let's go hit the road for another big day of not driving. All right, if you remember, last night, Model Y couldn't quite figure out my driveway without ending up in the neighbor's yard. So let's see if it can tackle the way down this morning. All right, we're going this way. This is kind of a bold move because it's completely the wrong direction as to where we need to be going. You can actually see on this map here. Wow, okay, we're going off-roading. Where are you going? The driveway's this way. You need to go over here. Oh my gosh. We are about to go down a 30-degree slope. Car, this is not right. No. It's just driving us into a field at this point. And clearly it's marked on the map. It knows that this is a road through our property. All right, I gotta see where this ends up. I don't know if we're gonna have the ground clearance for this. What is it doing? There goes one of our prairie dogs. We are now fully frontiersmen off-road. And now it's going to be crossing our stream. Oh, the car's just come to a complete stop. Okay, now it's backing up. It's not going to back all the way up the driveway, is it? What is happening? All right, I'm gonna try this again. So we've got this like little off-road course that is, believe it or not, because we've driven it so much, now marked on the map, and the car's taking us there. But you can see on this nav, we need to go to the main road, which is just very clearly follow the white squiggle. So, no, okay, this is just not having it. So I might have to go point it in the right direction. Otherwise, we're going to end up on a rock course at this rate. Oh, jeez. All right, pointed down the driveway now. Get past the gate. And let's see if it can take it from here. And it's obvious, if you look at the map here, you know, one right turn to the marked road. Unless it's trying to go through our neighbor's property, which is very possible. There we go. All right, back on the right track here. This is where it careened off the road last night, doing 16 miles an hour. We do have a pretty steep rutted descent here to get to the main road. I typically take about 4, but it's gonna do it at 16. All right. There it goes. Nice, slowed down a little way. That was good. Okay, now we've got a sharp right-hander. Turn signal on. Sees the truck coming. Oh, it's going the wrong way. Car. How could you possibly be trying to go that way? All right. There we go. Back in business. All right, so day 2, actually kind of embarrassingly, the end of day 2, I didn't feel the need to really record much today because the car is performing so well. It is just doing phenomenally. Now today was a lot of highway driving. I think I drove, let me go into trips here. 84 miles today. It's a pretty big day, and I still have another probably 90 to go. And so a lot of highway today, and the car is so good on the highway. You want to talk about the different speed profiles in this car. Now there's Sloth, which it's pretty slow, and it has kind of a tough time keeping up with the speed of traffic. There's Chill, which from my experience kind of keeps you right at the speed limit. Then there's Standard. That's how I've been operating the car, and that kind of seems to target 3 to 5 miles an hour over the posted speed limit. Geez, I'm gonna go to jail for this video, but realistically, in my area, that's at the minimum what people are actually driving. So that's kind of the speed profile I need to feel safe on most roads. There's also Hurry and Mad Max. Now, Mad Max, I got a little bit of an ethical dilemma with Mad Max because it does like 15 miles and over in some instances, and there's a stretch of highway up here, speed limit's 55. It does like 15 over through the construction zone, past the speed camera. I mean, it's too much, right? And also, like, should we, as a society, be programming essentially a robot to break the law by especially that extent where you're surpassing the speed of traffic? I'm not so sure about that, but regardless, I'd love to hear what your opinion is on that. I like the standard setting. I think that is the mode to drive it in. Now, like I said today, the car's been doing so good. Really no problems to report. The one area where this thing really struggles still is parking lots. It's just all over the place. It does these weird 3-point turns to get into spots, and it parks in spots that a normal person would never even consider. So more on that tomorrow. But let's talk about state of charge. You know, I've driven 85 miles today, and the car's sitting at 72% state of charge. So we're kind of on track to hit about 300 miles on this charge, and I'm going to bring it as low as I comfortably can. Once again, I'm not driving it, but the good news is when you plug in a destination, it tells you pretty much to the dot what percentage you end up with, and I have to plug in a destination anytime I go anywhere, so at least I'll know if/when I run out of energy. So speaking of these different speed profiles, we're on the interstate and the speed limit is allegedly 75 miles an hour, and we're in sloth mode and the car is holding steady at 70. So that's going to be the slowest setting. So let's go one up to chill here. We're still at 70. Oh, here we go, 71. Gain in speed, and I think chill, from my, granted, only 2 days of experience, is going to target the actual speed limit. All right, 75. Okay, it should hold 75. All right, now the normal setting that I've been driving around in, the standard setting, should do about 5 over, allegedly, of course. So 78. Let's see if it'll do 80. It's kind of right there at 78 is where it seems to be happy, but there is a slight bend here. So let's see if it'll hit 80 or if it's going to stay right at 78. Okay, so in this instance, it's holding about 3 miles an hour over. Now let's go into, oh, here we go. Before I change it, it's going up a little bit. 79. I bet given enough time, it might hit 80. There we go, 80. All right, so let's go into the hurry setting. It's going to make a lane change here. That's going to accelerate from what I've seen to about 9 miles an hour over the speed limit. Once again, this is totally hands-free. This is where things start getting a little freaky for me. Oh no, interesting. It's holding at 81. Curious to see if it'll actually go quicker than that. Last time I used this in Mexico, I had it at 45 and it was doing 54 miles an hour in the hurry. 82. Okay, that's 7 over. Once again, all the car driving still. 84, all right, there we go. Yeah, so it's kind of on the money. So it holds, 85, 10 miles an hour over. Okay, now for the one I'm a little nervous about. What does the Mad Max setting do? 85. Let's see, is it going to go more than that? Now this is where you start running into, very likely if there's a cop, you're going to get a ticket. territory. Oh no, it's holding at 85. Interesting. So it appears like the faster you go, perhaps it caps itself, because it seems like in the past, the Mad Max setting tries to target about 15 over. It seems like it goes up increments of 5 typically, but perhaps 85 is the quickest that self-driving computer will let you go. Because it's wide open in front of us and it's still holding that 85. Oh, well, that was an interesting little test here on the interstate. All right, of all the spots, this is definitely where self-driving has struggled the most. We're here at the airport, and I'm gonna actually save this dash recording because it's kind of interesting. Basically, the car is really struggling with the speed limit changes, and there's some temporary ones for construction that it just can't recognize, even though they are quite well marked on the side of the road. And even in regular mode, it recognized the speed limit at 55, and it was doing 68, 70. And this is an area with a lot of police present, so I did have to take over for just a sec there and slow the car down. I had to put it in chill mode for a sec because it was just hauling butt. And now I'm going to take over for this last little bit as well, because I think we're navigating into Terminal West and we need to be going Terminal East. Watch me crash the car the second I start driving it for the first time. But, you know, half mile is definitely going to hurt our score a little, but I want to make sure I can pick up my parents, and I'm already running late. So some sacrifices have to be made for this half mile. Okay, well, end of day 2, and something very interesting just happened. The Tesla, I think, is learning. It actually successfully traversed up my weird steep gravel driveway where yesterday I tried to go into the neighbor's yard, and it even parked back where I parked it yesterday. That is pretty awesome. What a smart car. Look at that. All right, I probably would have gone back another 15 feet, but look, I've got a weird driveway. It's just kind of a dirt wasteland here. Could have parked anywhere, and it parked more or less where I parked it yesterday. Now that's pretty cool. Whew. Well, good morning. You joined me on a relatively gray and snowy day, and the snow is supposed to pick up today, which is going to be a real test for FSD. I'm really wondering if it's going to be able to work around it. Anyway, one way to find out, let's go hit it. Now, one thing which I'm noticing is I don't think I'm going to make it the full week on this one charge, because we're currently sitting at 33% SOC. Let's see what that is in predictive miles. Can I tap this? Yeah, 108 miles. Yesterday I drove, after picking up my folks from the airport, trip B 209 miles. So I think we may end up having to charge after all, but where does it go? Didn't navigate anywhere. Here we go, this is interesting. FSD supervised may be degraded, poor weather detected. Interesting. All right. Super weird. Maybe take me to Elon's house. Interesting. So I've got this warning here. Autopilot visibility limited. Clear all dirt or water from the camera. Camera obstructed. Now, I do really believe it would be good. Oh, that's the front camera. Okay, that's the windshield camera. Luckily, I've got windshield wipers for that. Okay. Well, that's a helpful warning. Feels like it should be able to turn them on itself in that instance. All right, here we go. Here's something interesting coming toward us. I do believe there is an emergency vehicle coming down the road. I think it's an ambulance. Let's see if the car will pull over. I am not going to trust it to do this. There's the ambulance. No, it wasn't pulling over. So I'm going to pull over for it. All right. Oh. Granted, that was a pretty tough scenario because it was a sharp left turn and maybe you didn't see it through the trees, but it didn't seem to be making much of an effort to pull over. kind of an annoying problem I'm finding in this Model Y is this car's automatic wipers. And what you do is you push the button here and select automatic, which I've done. And I don't know if you can see that on camera. It's not as bad on camera, but it's just completely watered over. I don't know how the car is still seeing where it's going, especially using that camera, but it's can't see nothing out of the front of this thing. Push the button. There you go, that's a little better. And you can see it is definitely on auto. But it ain't autoing. Regardless though, the car's still driving itself. Kind of interesting.
Hey Tommy.
Hey, you're home.
Yeah, and I was hoping for snow, and we got snow.
Oh yeah, for sure. First snow day in a long while, actually. And now the auto wipers are working. So somehow you being in here has fixed them.
You know what that means? That means the car likes me.
Yeah, exactly right.
It likes having me in the car now that the auto wipers. Well, Tesla has had some issues. You know, this is our 6th Tesla, as you know. And in the past, the auto wipers have been kind of intermittent. And one of the great things about doing this series is that we can test it in all kinds of weather. And right now, we are definitely hitting snow. And when I was driving this and it was a little bit of ice on the ground, I kind of felt like the car didn't understand that there was ice on the ground. It still drove the same way it would if there wasn't ice on the ground. Now, right now, we don't have ice on the ground yet. It's just wet. But by the end of the day, when you go home, I think there'll be snow on the ground.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if the car is able to kind of read the lanes and able to adjust for the snow. We already have this warning here.
What does that warning mean?
FSD supervised may be degraded, poor weather detected.
Oh, so it knows that there's poor weather.
Yeah, but it's still going.
Yeah.
Still going.
You know, and the one thing, of course, that Tesla does, which is controversial, is they don't use any sonar. They don't use any redundant systems to actually supplement the camera.
Right. Which hasn't been an issue so far, but as visibility decreases, that in theory is really where distance-based systems like LiDAR could really have a positive impact on things. Like in fog, in theory, a LiDAR sensor could still read what's in front of you where a camera may not be able to.
Yeah, and the upside, I guess, is that the car's front end is getting all schmutzed up from the ice that's forming. And if you have those little like sensors, parking sensors, or if you have a sensor in the front of the car, in the past in vehicles that we've tested, those get covered with snow and ice, and then the car kind of says, hey, none of your emergency systems like emergency braking are working anymore.
Right.
But the cameras on this car are all over the place.
Yes, but a lot of those radar systems too, like on BMWs, they'll be heated so that you don't get the ice buildup on the front. This is what I was talking about. So the windshield now getting all caked up, and the auto wipers are they've just decided to call it a day. And we'll see if they actually end up kicking out. But this is what I was noticing on the way to school and on the way to home. And what's funny about this is when the windshield gets caked up, that's when the little warning goes away. It's so funny. It's like when the visibility gets really bad, then it's like, no, I'm good now. But when you can actually see, then it's like, oh. But no, it's still working. So to its credit, in rain, which is essentially what we have now, it still works great.
I would say we have freezing rain because it is starting to collect on the front and on the mirrors.
Yeah, true that.
And I guess there's an argument to be made that you don't have to see as long as the car can see.
Yeah, that's true.
But as level 2, you do have to see because you have to be willing to take control at any moment. Anyway, it's great that we got this weather, and on the way home tonight, you'll get to see if it actually works. The other thing you're doing is a range test. How's that going?
Well, pretty good. I mean, yeah, pretty good, I would say. Let's see. So on this charge, we've got 234 miles, and we still have 81 miles remaining. So we're kind of right about maybe a little bit less than what the EPA number is. But I'm going to keep going until it doesn't make sense to go anymore. Oh, there we go. Now they started going again. And we'll see what the final numbers are.
Now, a lot of wipers are speed sensitive, and they started going when we were stopped. That's weird because usually they go faster when you go quicker.
Yeah.
This car is the dual motor long range, so it's supposed to have over 330 miles of range.
327.
But I don't think this we're going to get there with this car.
No, not in this weather at least.
All right. Well, what day is this of you full self-driving? Day 3?
Day 3.
Okay. All right.
You got it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm excited to see this video once we edit it and see how this thing does.
End of the day, and my dad snuck out and drove the car. Actually, he rode in the car, but still he killed my battery, which is fine because I needed to charge it anyway. So we're down to 15 miles of charge. 50 miles. And this gives me a good opportunity to try to navigate to the nearest charger and see if it'll actually back into a spot and start doing its thing. So we got our charger here in Boulder. Hit start. Full self-driving. Cool. Let's do it. Now for reference, let's see how far I've driven on this charge. 259 miles and I'm down to 15%. Yeah, I think that's pretty far off the 327 this car is supposed to do. And this is a common issue I've had with a lot of these Teslas, is that the quoted range number and the actual range number, they don't line up. Well, we'll do like a formal range test at some point in this car, but 259 miles, down to 15%. It's fine, but it's not awesome. It definitely lasted me only 3 days, not the 7 I needed it to. All right, here we come to the supercharger. Looks like there is some space availability. There's 2 right there. Let's see if the car can successfully back into this. This would be pretty cool. Oh, yeah. Nice car. All right, not bad at all. Let's stop before it hits the post. Cool. All right, let's go ahead and plug this thing in and see what kind of charging speeds we're getting. This is unfortunately a pretty ancient supercharger. I think it's a V2 150 kilowatt. Oh, there it goes. All right, we got 8 kilowatts, 12, 22, 53, 85. Oh, let me bring the charging limit back down again. Set it to 80. Oh, 141. So we're pretty close to maxing this thing out. All right, good. But I'm not gonna just sit here, even though I could wait for 35 minutes. I'm actually gonna go into the Trader Joe's. Really didn't take that long, 52%. Maybe 15 minutes of total charging, something like that. Let's see, tell me how much that cost. Hoo-hoo-hoo! $12. Yeah, 17 minutes total. That's a lot of money for 150 miles of range or whatever. Woo! All right. Well, onward, I guess. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow. Unless something bad happens, and I'll see you tonight. So hopefully I don't see you tonight. Well, the snow is really coming down now. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it's coming down pretty good. And what's interesting is, in my opinion, from where I'm sitting, the visibility is definitely pretty compromised, but no such warning on the screen, actually. So earlier it was giving us, it's weird, it gives you visibility warnings when the visibility is not that bad, and then when it actually does get pretty bad, it's warning free. And it's also 30 degrees Fahrenheit, which according to some engineers I talked to, oh, here we go, look at this. Visibility limited. It feels like if that's what the front camera is seeing, right, maybe it should just disengage autopilot or full self-driving, because that doesn't seem like it's getting enough information. Now granted, the car's still driving okay, and these dumb wipers are driving me up the wall. Just wipe. Golly, they're so ineffective at doing their job in auto mode. You pretty much have to just use it like a manual wiper. But once again, that doesn't seem like a good, safe way to operate a vehicle. Let me go to the camera buttons here. Those ones are still looking pretty good, the side and definitely the rear, but the fascia camera is looking a little rough. So this is an instance where, before I did this week, I would have said it's very bold that Tesla allows you to drive hands-free everywhere. now that I've lived with it, I think it's less bold. But in the snow, it feels like maybe they should be like, all right, take over or at least have a hand on a wheel. Because once again, it is doing a good job. Although it is going over the speed limit when it's 30 degrees out and snowing hard, which I don't think I would do personally. So maybe I'll dial it down to chill mode and be very attentive, because I'm really surprised it's still working. Granted, working well. The Tesla did just do something which is very interesting, because while it is what a lot of people do, I think it's also very much against the law. I'm driving down this 2-lane road. Bronco in front of me is going left. Naturally, speed limit's 60, so a lot of people will actually go right past the shoulder to keep going, but I always get very nervous about that, especially with the potential of bicycles. Not that they're going to be bicycles out when it's 30, but regardless, I don't like to do that. And the Tesla just did it, which is kind of nuts. That's really, really, really surprising. That it would go over a single white line and into the median to pass a car that was turning. Wow. Another day here in Colorado, and we got just a little bit of snow painting the ground. A really cold day, and another day of self-driving adventures. Let me finish clearing the snow off this thing, and we're gonna go hit it. Let's go get some starbs on the way to the office. Feeling like it's a treat kind of Friday today. Whew. Oh man, I got snow inside this thing. Gah. Now, it's been a pretty good week actually, and I've come to like this car a lot. Some of the features I like outside of, you know, the self-drivingness of it, I really like being able to precondition the car from inside. It's a really nice feature. Now, of course, not a new feature, but a feature which has been present for a long time. Car's definitely being a little bit cautious this morning. Check this out. Usually it flies past the gate, and today it's kind of creepy crawling. That's what I like to see. Very, very good. Once again, the auto wipers, about as useful as me in a football game. There we go. But I really like the preconditioning in the cabin. I love how it does, you know, seats, does the, I don't know if it did the steering wheel, but it certainly did the cabin temperature in here was nice and toasty. And of course, you're able to do that when your car is plugged in, so you're not draining your battery, because that stuff typically uses quite a bit of energy. Although I do believe these new Model Ys all come with heat pumps, which greatly improves efficiency. All right, we're going down the snowy hill. Going to get into ABS. No, it's keeping it at 10. Man, this system is very impressive. Boy, am I wrong. It's just so wrong. Another reason that I was just so resistant to wanting to trust the system is, you know, I work with a lot of the OEMs, and when you hear the amount of sensors and technology they need to make their self-driving systems or hands-free or even hands-on systems function, it's pretty alarming. Like, the one that really sticks in my mind is I went to the launch of the first ever full level 3 system. You'll hear why in a second. And that was Mercedes. Now, this is still level 2, which means that, yeah, the car's driving itself, but I'm responsible. Mercedes, in their, I think it's called Drive Pilot, in certain instances, which are very limited, that is genuinely a full hands-off and even eyes-off system. What that means is that they take responsibility for what happens to the car. Now, this only works on pre-mapped highways, I think currently only in California, maybe Nevada, and you have to essentially be in a traffic jam, so speeds under 45 miles an hour. It can't be dark, there can't be any rain, there's all these parameters that have to be met before that system is a level 3 driving system. And then when it is a level 3, like you can take your hands and your eyes off the road. Now, you can't sleep, you still can't text because that's still against the law in California, but you can play with the screen, you can watch a movie on the screen, that kind of thing. But in order to make that happen, Mercedes not only relies on cameras, they rely on sonar sensors, LiDAR sensors. They use, if I recall, all 3 GPS providers, so Galileo and the other 2, to make sure that they always have navigation going. They use 2 different lane positioning GPS sensors that are hyper sensitive. They use 2 different steering columns in case they have a failure with one, 2 different brake circuits. I mean, there's redundancy after redundancy after redundancy. And I was pretty convinced that's exactly what you needed to have a full self-driving system that worked. But Tesla's proving here with just cameras, 1 steering column, 1 set of brakes, that the car is able to function all by itself. Now, of course, the argument against that is, well, yeah, it's great 99.995% of the time. What's that 0.05% of the time? What's it going to do? I haven't hit that 0.05% of the time because the car's been working essentially perfectly, even in somewhat adverse conditions. But there is always that little thought in the back of your mind, like Mercedes, 2 steering columns, 2 brake systems, Tesla only cameras. In an emergency, which one's better? I don't know. I haven't had an emergency to find out, so that's, something impressive in its own. Alright, I'm getting a little uncomfortable with how this thing is driving in the snow, because these are some pretty icy roads. And the car is, granted, at this moment in time, doing just slightly under the speed limit. But with my own eyes, I can tell, yeah, that's ABS. These are really icy. So I'm going to go start driving, self-driving. Let's go into chill, though. This is one area, like, it would be hard for a camera to maybe see this road and determine whether or not it's ice or if it's, well, actually, it's pretty obviously ice. I was going to say if it's ice or just water. But it's definitely, look, yeah, that's an ABS there. So I'm not going to take over. I'm going to let it do its thing. I've put it into chill mode. I'm going to let it work it out. But it's being a little bit bold and standard. I think we need to work on that a little for our snowy environments. Well, I got the lane completely wrong back there, and I had to take over because it was cruising down the turn lane, trying to go straight, and it wasn't making any attempt to correct there. One other thing I've noticed too is I've got my little iced lemon loaf from Starbucks here, one of my favorites. The car watches you really closely and does not like me to do anything else but just sit there and pay attention. So as I look down and eat my lemon loaf a little bit, it reminds me a lot, hey, turn the steering wheel, which is the only time I've seen it do that. Otherwise, it's completely fine to do it, but if I'm eating, maybe specifically the lemon loaf, it sends me a lot of reminders, hey, pay attention, turn the steering wheel. It wants like an actual handshake to let it know that, yes, I'm here and I'm engaged still, which I am. I'm just enjoying my frosted lemon pastry. Well, final trip of my week in the full self-driving Tesla, and look, I definitely have to eat my previous words on this. It's performed brilliantly, even in the night, even in the rain, even in the snow, albeit a little fast. It's done really well. A couple of final takeaways. I am really glad to see that they are pushing the fact that this is level 2, hands off, eyes on. And what I mean by that is, like, I tried to, eat my lemon loaf in the car today and it kept asking me to take control. Or if you try to even look down at your phone for a little bit, it asks you, hey, pay attention. So the monitoring system, which I presume is done through that little camera right there, is really, really, really on the money. And the car is learning. Like, it gets better, it seems like, every drive. For example, when we first got this car, I didn't have the camera rolling because I wasn't planning on doing the video yet. I asked it to take me to my pharmacy here, and it took me to the grocery store next door. It really struggled with the parking lots. And like, it continues to get better and better at navigating these kind of tough scenarios. So I'm, across the board, very impressed with it. Look, it's even in the back of me and next to this LR4 and Ioniq 5. Yeah, I really have so few notes. It is that good. So I will be happy to admit I was definitely wrong about the system. Well, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below as it's parking me at my final destination of the day. Let me show you my final stats here. So, once again, let's show you where we were at with software. So, software 2025.45.7, full self-driving 14.2.2.2, and picked up the car with 300 and something miles. Picked up the car with 70 something miles, and now we're at 432. So, we're going on 300, 400 miles driven at this point, and it's been all hands-free. Let's actually see how we're doing with that percentage. When I got in this car, it was at 96% hands-free. Now it's at 98% hands-free, so I really did rely on it for my whole week. But as a whole, very impressed. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. This has been Tommy. Head over to alltfl.com. We'll see you in the next video.